So, hello. I'm happy to be able to have a couple of minutes today. My name is Petri. I have a Finnish name, very happy for that. I'm half Finn, so it's nice to be back in Finland. I'm actually going to be here until the 6th of January. So I'm starting Christmas holiday in 1 hour, so that's going to be nice. I'm a technical evangelist. I work for Microsoft in Norway, in DPE, and I would like just everyone in DPE raise their hands. Yeah, it's quite a lot. So it's nice to see you all. I've seen you guys many times, but always cool. All right, so today I'm going to just quickly talk about Windows Azure, just to mention it, just to show you that it's possible to use Windows Azure in your projects. And I'm going to talk a little bit about templates, because you're here to do some train-the-trainer. So basically what you're going to do after this is to teach others to create games. And I created like 5 templates that you're all going to get. You can just use them. In Norway, we use these templates to do hackathons and app jams and so on. And they're great starting points for students to get started, learn something, create something simple, and just be able to release something in only 5 to 10 hours. So that's why they're for. Not to just change one thing and just publish it as your own game. That's not the intention. The intention is to learn. But I'm going to be back on that later. So first of all, my story. I started here. I found this in the basement, my father's basement, with my twin brother. And we used to have this huge pile of magazines with the Commodore 64 code in it. We didn't understand at all what they meant, because it was pre-10 years old. And we just spent 10 hours or 5 hours just typing all the codes from the magazines. And I did 2 hours, then my brother did 2 hours, and Saturday evening, and then we had a game. So that was quite fun. And I did learn a lot. And around the age of 10, I got a book from my father, said, in Norwegian, that du og dino lærer basic. It means you and Dino learns basic. So it's a children's book in programming. I actually still have that book. It was really cool. A race was formed up as these bookworms, and each circle in the worm was like a container with an integer in it and so on. So it was a good learning book. So if you guys got kids and want them to code, that's a good starting point. A bit old though. I still like to do programming. I do a lot of graphics programming. That's my field. And I actually used to be an MVP on DirectX and XNA before starting Microsoft. So I did a lot of DirectX and sitting there in Seattle with the rest of the MVPs, and that was really cool. So I'm just wondering, how many of you guys are MVPs? Oh, we actually have 2 MVPs. So what's your field?
C++, but used to be DirectX as well.
Oh, cool. So maybe we've been in the same room.
Maybe, I don't remember.
It was 2009, 2010-ish. And you're Windows Phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Creds. So you guys should try to be MVPs if you're not in Microsoft, especially these student partners and so on. It's a good, cool program. And can anyone tell me what this is? It's a picture, at least. Anyone got any other ideas? What do you see? It's quite abstract. The reason for it being so abstract is that this is actually a procedural graphic, created an algorithm on the GPU, and it generates different objects using Berlin noise and mathematics, and it does this in an exe file, so you can actually move around in this world using mouse and keyboard, and the total executable file is 900 bytes. I can create this picture with only 900 bytes, and it will scale at whatever resolution I would like to have it on. So it's quite fun, and that's what I do a lot. I do a lot of graphics programming. That's why I like Unity too. I finally started using Unity. I probably made 4 game engines over 10 years, but I never published anything with those because it's my own engine and they're not as good as Unity. So it was a year and a half ago, my friend said, dude, come on, stop wasting your time. You're learning a lot, but release stuff. So I did over and went over to Unity, and I'm in love with it. So that's probably why I'm here as well. I decided to start learning this. So I created a couple of games. This is a dinosaur game. It's about dinos. You have to just roll an egg and get it into a goal. this Lumilight is actually just a game I created at a hackathon. You basically have to tap fireflies, and when you tap them, they will lose some light. And if they lose all the light, they will just pop, explode. And the high scores are uploaded to Windows Azure, so there's an online high score. But cats love that game, because I was just playing that, and suddenly the cat attacked my tablet, and I still have a little scratch on it, because it was quite an attack. And this is actually Eve. Anyone played Eve Online here? Ah, cool. So I created this app, and CCP actually called me and said, hey, this is really cool. You should come to Iceland at our fan fest. It's like the Eve conference every year to present this. So I went over there this April, and I was able to talk about this and have a couple of beers in the Blue Lagoon, and it was a good experience. But the reason why they actually saw this was it's a new platform. Windows is a new platform, and it's quite easy to be spotted if you do something else. So just a quick little demo. I forgot to have. Is there some sound here? Maybe not. I can just do this. So basically, you control these dinosaurs. And it's a physics-based 2D game written in XNA. And yeah, you can see it soon. So it's a side-scrolling game, and you have to maneuver these kind of terrain. So this guy, he creates a jump. So if you want to have jump or get the eggs over some gaps and so on, you can use that one. This is a bridge builder. And this is something that adds force and changes the direction of the egg. And this one you can use to build a lot of complex structures based on the dinosaurs that you use. You can put together all the dinosaurs and make them fly and so on. And it's available for a Windows Phone and Surface. And I'm remaking the game in Unity right now. I want it to be like 2.5D, basically, or 3D, but you see from the side, and just using Unity. So, basically, what I'm going to do right now is to take you up to the clouds with Windows Azure. And how many of you guys know Windows Azure? Most of you guys. How many have done mobile services? All right, cool. It's nice to see. So this is going to be a little bit basic for you guys, but the other guys that's here, I'm just going to show you how you can go home and create awesome stuff using Windows Azure. So I'm going to just take you up to the portal. So let's just hope everything works there, because my other computer didn't work, and I need to use Firefox on this one because my computer has crashed totally this last couple of days. But here we are. So basically, when you log into Windows Azure, and it's free to register, but you need to put out your credit card when you're registering for Windows Azure, and it's on windowsazure.com. So basically what you need to do is to create an account. You need to verify by your credit card, but you won't get charged until you go in there and say, hi, I want you guys to start billing me. If you start using services that you don't have money for, the service will just go down if you haven't said that I want to get billed. So you can freely just go in there and create your account and start playing around with it. I really, really recommend you guys to do that. And most of you are probably on MSDN subscriptions as well. You get a lot of free time. So basically, what I want to teach you is just how can you, for example, create a game and maybe have an online high score in the clouds. So you play a game, the game is ended, you type in your name, and the scores will be uploaded to an online high score. Or you could have different schemes from your game, like level design or data for an item, or how much health a boss is having in the clouds, and that the game just downloads these attributes and data to your game. So you can just control and balance the game without having to re-release everything all the time. There's a lot of different mechanisms for using Windows Azure. So basically what you need to do first is when you log in, you're presented with this really beautiful portal with all the different parts of Windows Azure. So Windows Azure got hosting for websites and all the tools that you need to deploy a website in the cloud, so you don't need to buy a computer and put it in your garage and have it online. You can just put it here. It also contains virtual machines. And my use for virtual machines, this account has 0, but I have another account too, which is actually hosting a game server that I wrote in C++. It's a non-blocking service, so it means that I can make a multiplayer game where like 2 or 3 or 4 characters just race together in a world. And all it does is to communicate with a virtual machine in Windows Azure. So I know that this machine is going to be up all the time. I'm going to show you that soon as well. It also includes like mobile services and the cloud services, which is basically roles and services that you can host in the cloud, and you can just call them from your application. And of course, it contains a lot of storage. So you can use different kinds of storage like SQL or Blob or like your file system and so on, and tables. And much, much more. And this is always evolving. And you also find Visual Studio Online here, which is really cool, but that's out of the scope. But you should click on it once, at least, to just check it out. So basically, what I want to do is just now quickly show you how to create an online service. And I'm going to show you the code on how you can connect to it. And then I'm going to open up a project, which is basically Unity. And I'm going to show you how a Unity plugin could be written so you guys can connect your own solutions to the cloud. So first of all, I'm going to have a mobile service because it's made for mobile and I'm creating mobile games. And all I want is to have a high score list in the cloud. That's it. It's a simple thing. To do that, I just press New here, and I make sure that we have mobile service here, and I click Create, and I hope my internet here is up and running. Then you need to specify the name of your service, so maybe a Unity TTT Cool. That's a nice name, and I can use my MSDN subscription for this one. And I can choose where I want to host this, and I just go for the North Europe. And I need to log into my database. And I think that should be it. Now it's going to spend a couple of minutes to create this service. It could take 10 seconds, it could take 30 seconds or a minute, but it's really, really fast. But basically what it's doing now is to create a table for me in the database. If you specify to create a new database, it also creates the database. And then it also creates the entire service and putting it online and publishing the service. So this service is live from the moment this status says, I'm ready. Then you can just start connecting to it and use the service as however you want. So let's just see if this one goes over here soon. And I hope that my internet is good, working. See here. All right, while this one, okay, there it is. There it is. So I can now just press the arrow here. And I now basically go into the quick start page of a mobile service. And this quick start page gives you everything you need to work with, get started with Windows Azure mobile services. Because this list says, what platform are you on? And okay, let's do a Windows Store app, or a Windows Phone, or iOS, or Android, or HTML, or Xamarin, which is now really new. It's just got here. I want to do a Windows Store app. And then I have to specify, am I creating a new Windows Store app? Or am I connecting from an existing one? So I'm just going to do the existing one. Because let's say that you guys created the Fruit Splash game, and you guys want to upload the score that you got after, say, 60 seconds of gameplay, or 30 seconds is usually enough. 30 seconds, how much points can you get in 30 seconds? Okay, there is done, upload your score. That's everything you want to do, right? So the first thing you need is to specify what kind of the mobile service client. This is used to connect to my service online. So if I now start a new instance of Visual Studio, and I can use Visual Studio 13 as well, but let's just do this now. And I create a new project, and let's just make it a Windows Store app like that, and blank, and go. So basically, let's pretend this is just the game that we're working out, because if I were doing Unity, I need to write the plugin, but I'm going to show you that soon. But first, I'm just going to connect to the Azure service. So you need to do one thing in your project, and that is to put a reference to the Windows Azure Mobile Services SDK. And that's real simple. You just right-click on References here, and just manage NuGet package because it's a NuGet package. And then you can search online for Windows Azure Mobile, for example, and hit install. This one will install the mobile service SDK with all the dependencies. So now it's downloading the data with the dependencies that my project doesn't yet have. And there we have it. So right now we can see that the references for the Windows Azure Mobile Service included the different JSON and the dependencies and so on that is needed for Azure to run is also added here. So now I can actually go into the portal again to my quick start list, and I can copy my connection string to the service, like copy, and I put it into the project. You can just put it in whatever you want as a global, but I tend to put it in the app thing, and now we need to add the reference to the mobile services library, like that. You can see that it's up here. So now I can use this mobile service to connect to my my tables. So this is everything that I need to connect to the mobile service. So now online again, I need to create a table that I want to connect to. You could click this one just to create a default item table. It's just an empty table called item, and let's just do that. If not, you have to go into the data tab here and say create table. So now it's done. Then we need to create the table. So what will the table contain? What types of fields do we need? And for a high school list, you probably need the ID, and then you need maybe you need a username, unless there's only one thing you want, and that is the highest score. Try to beat this score, and you don't care about who did it. Or and then we also could need the score itself. So what we're going to do now is to go into our project here, and let's go to the main page, like this, in the code behind. And when this page starts, we could actually go here, and just going to find this one, and you can find the table that we're looking for and insert data to it. So we need to specify what is the table that we're looking for, and it was called item. So in here, we create a class, and I can just copy this one just to save some time here, because we're going to just have the same one, and this one is actually just the definition of the table. So what we want now is to get the table item, and it contains an ID, it contains a name, and we also would like it to actually have, let's see here, a score, like this, and it should be an integer. All right. So now I'm getting the table, and then it's looking for this table with this specification, and then I can add insert, and it's an asynchronous function. So I just need to insert something here, and it will actually find the item and just insert this one. So what we need to do is to specify what we're inserting, and that could be done by just saying item new score, for example. And let's say that the name is Jukka, and he got a score of 1,037. All right, and that's it. There we have a new item, and then I can just add this to my mobile service like this. And this is an awaitable function, so I can just call await here, but then I need to have wait like that. And then we need to just put in the async here. I've never done this in a constructor before, but let's see. Yeah, I know. All right, but we can just put it somewhere else, like on the loaded, like that. Okay, does anyone see what the issue is? Yeah, of course. Like this. There we have it. And when the main page is now loaded, it should connect to the item table and insert the score that we just got from our game. So just press play here. And we're deploying the application, the Windows 8 app, and we're running. And if we now go into the service here, let's see here, where do you have it? Like here. I can go in here and go to the data, and I can see that my item table is there. Let's see if we can get some records here. Okay, it didn't get there. Okay, but it should be like that. But we just have to see. It might be coming later. I'm not sure. It's might be so that I have some lag. We can just try to rerun this. It should be loaded. The main page should be loaded, and the function should have been called. And let's see here again. Let's refresh. Oh, there we have both. So it did work. It was just that I had some lag here, latency. So here we see that Jukka is playing 2 times, and he has a score of 1,337. And then we have some different kinds of attributes that has been added by the table all by itself. So if we go in here now, we can actually see that, okay, this is the data of our high score list. And you can actually go into the scripts function here, and you can modify how it works. So I'm just going to show you real quickly on the slide here that first you add an item to the high score list, and then on the read function you could actually specify that the query should order by, for example, the score column in the table, and it should take 1. And it should order descending, which means that the one with the highest score will be on the top. So this little function here could be used in our input form here, like a read. And if we take the query, it will order it based on the score column descending, and it will take the first one. So you guys get the picture. We don't need to sit and wait for too long here. And then to get the score out from this one in your local application, and we're having the delay, so I don't need to go in here and do it and just show it in the text box. You get a picture. What you need to do is to create a mobile service collection, and it needs the table name, and then the function called getScore will actually connect to the get table. This should be like item in our case. And it calls an asynchronous function that creates a collection out of the result our query is sending back. So right now, since we had to take 1, the query would have only 1 line, right? So this collection would be only 1. This means that it's safe to just go in there and say that if I got a callback, let's set the best score integer to the score of the item returned. So this is not the cleanest way to do it, but it's a basic so you guys understand how it should be done. Is everyone with me on this one? Okay, good. So I'm just going to close this one and also this one. Yeah. And we're going to go back to the Azure portal here. So basically, a mobile service is this simple. It's just tables online. You can connect them together as well and have multiple table per service. So if I go into this one, you can go into data and listen later, and you can create new tables here. And one thing that's really important here is that you can specify the security. So at a previous event, I had a presentation about adding stuff to Windows Azure, and someone quickly took a picture when I created the service, and it he got the key to my service. And then he raised his hand after a while and said, check your data again, I just need to check something. And he had added a lot of stuff. And he was sitting on a Mac, actually, so it was really good promotion for me because I was just sitting there and doing my Windows talk. And he did that from his Mac, added stuff to it, and he did it in like 5 minutes. Installed everything he needed. So it's quite simple to do this from an iPhone application and iOS and Android and everything as well. But what usually people do is to put in the authenticated users. It means that maybe only authenticated users should be able to insert and update this. And then maybe only everyone, or with those with an application key, could read like this. And I don't want anyone except for myself or admin scripts and so on to delete items. That should be up to me. Now I could create this table, and to use this, you need to send in the connection string, the key, to, in this one, insert or update. If I just want to read this, I don't need to do anything just but to connect to the URL. But and this one, I need to write a script myself that does it. So this is the different kinds of settings that you can have on a table. And as you guys probably noticed, I never went into my mobile service table and created these ones. It did it automatically because the thing that I tried to add to my service was a class here, see here, with these new properties in it. So basically, it said, oh, there's some data coming in. Oh, there's some columns of this and this type that I don't have. Okay, I'm just going to add it. Because in that way, I can shape my data while I'm creating the application and working with the code. Instead of going into the surface, add column, specify, do stuff, just add it there and it's there. You don't have to think about the service. But one thing that's really important is that when you go out, and it's not here, it's back. When you go public with this one, when you publish the game, it's quite important to just configure it and say that enable dynamic schema is off. Because then it will fail if you try to add columns that does not exist. Just in case that people might get the key or somehow manage to get to your service. Not that that's very easy to do or even possible, I don't know. But it's a good thing to just turn it off. All right, so that was the really, really basic stuff. And I just want to quickly show you the Unity plugin thing. So what I have here is a really simple game that I created just to learn Unity. So if I hit play here, the game starts here, and it contains an online part, and it contains an offline part. So the offline part uses your account, and if you have never ever logged in, it's just saving it locally. And then the first time you log in, it says that, okay, do you want to sync your data? Because online, I like to have your profile, your nickname, how far you got into the game, all your unlocks, and also how much experience and what level you are, and maybe how many matches you've been winning and playing, just to give some statistics. So if I go into online here, it will connect to my service with my live ID. And if I do this for the first time, and there's no live ID used for this game yet, it says you want to log in, and you log in with your live ID. And then it goes into the service, which is hosted online, and it's called StarComet. Okay. And if I go into the data here, I can go into the item table, and this is just a test solution, so it's not really well named, like still item and so on. That doesn't matter. And it will create a new row here with a nickname default is set to player. And it sets the XP and wins and matches to 0. It takes the user ID of the Windows Live ID that they use to log into the service. And it sets the default unlocks like color unlocks and comet unlocks. And it also adds a created at field here just to timestamp everything. And this created at thing is created entirely server-side, so it takes the timestamp of the server which is done by doing this. And I'm going to show this. Which is, when you create an online game, it's always nice to have a kind of a history of when did things happen, just to be sure that no one is messing around with stuff. And every time I insert something into this function, I create a column, create that, and if it doesn't exist, it creates it as a date function. And new date just defaultly returns the current time and timestamp of the server. So I usually just add this one to everything that I do when it comes to online high scores and so on. So basically what this does now is that, okay, I'm logged in as that with this guy with this user ID. And I can go ahead and create a game. And I can just select a level. And now I have a room online in my virtual machine on Windows Azure waiting for another player to join. So if one of you guys would have had this game now, I could just wait there and I could get this guy to come in. And if you start, you just kind of start the game and you start to fly around as a comment in space. And you don't do much. But that doesn't matter for now. If you win the race, I call a function that adds 15 to adds hundreds to. If I go to item here, no data. It goes in here and sets the XP here. Notice I don't have a level here. I want to keep track of I'm level 12 and this guy is level 25 and it's going to be hard to beat him. I want to keep track of that, but all I need is the current experience this guy got. And then I have a lookup table here, which just contains the current the level and how much XP is needed to reach this level. So I can just say, okay, I have this much XP. Okay, then you're level 4. So that's just a function that you can call and it just gets the data. So how does this work in Unity? First of all, a Unity project looks like this. And in here, you have your assets, and you have the current data of the things, and which Andy was talking about yesterday. But what I'm looking for is a folder called plugins. And the plugins folders contains all the DLLs you want to extend your Unity project with. And right now, I've tried some different kinds of solution, and this one is actually an online one, which is available for free in the asset store. And you can host it in your own virtual machines and so on, but it creates an unlocking server. So you can just connect this. You can write your own, like I did in the start, but this one is actually pretty good. And if you host it yourself in Azure, you don't pay for this one, you just pay for the data, the usage in Azure. Or you can pay them, and they will host it for you. You just connect to a URL. And then there's something called azuremobile.editor.dll. And this is the extension that I have in my project. So if I go ahead now and go into my Unity project, I created a new solution in Visual Studio. So file new solution. And it was a blank solution. And then I added a new DLL project here called azuremobile.editor. And this one contains different functions like get level. It will just return like a list of all the levels. And this one will just return the level I have based on the XP I have. This one will get the XP required to reach the next level based on the level I am. But as you can see, this is just dumb functions, just there to reserve the name. Because this editor DLL is used in the editor of Unity. So when you're working in Unity and doing the scripting in Visual Studio or MonoDevelop as you've been doing the past couple of days, you need to have access to the functions. So you can, when you're writing the scripts, you need to say that player dot get levels maybe, so on. You need to have access to those. Because Unity does not support a .NET Framework higher than 3.5, that means that the Windows Azure thing that is 4.5 or 4.51 for Windows 8.1 will not work in the Unity editor. So this editor function, you could write your own like you create your own using the web requests and so on, and connect to the Azure mobile service that way, and that's quite hard. So I just decided that I don't want to do anything at all in the Unity editor with Azure. I'll just return some default values. But then I created a new DLL file for Windows 8 and another one for Windows Phone 8, because the login functions for logging into Windows Live ID and so on are a little bit different on Windows 8 and Windows Phone, and they use some different kind of dependencies and so on. So I needed a DLL for my plugin for those platforms that I wanted to support. So basically what I did here is on the Windows 8, I created a new project, and I set it to be, let's see here, add new project. And I said it that, okay, this is going to be a class library. You could probably use the portable class library as well. And I want to target 4.5 for Windows 8 or 4.51 for Windows 8.1. And then you hit OK, and it will create the empty class library. And what I need to do is to just make sure that all of this information, the functions, like this is just mock-up, but if it's player loaded, it does usually exist. Let's see here, and so on. Get player XP, you know. What it does is that this function was just return 60 in the editor DLL, while in this one it actually does stuff. So I will not be able to test my Windows Azure connection and do the Windows Azure thing before I'm actually exporting the solution. So how does Unity differentiate between the editor DLL and the Windows 8 DLL or the Windows Phone 8 DLL? Because this sounds like the DLL hell, right? And it's a little bit like that. So basically, when I build this one, it doesn't have any dependencies. It's just a DLL with empty functions in it. And when I build this one, it actually creates a DLL with dependencies for Windows Azure. So if I go in here now, I can open the folder for this one. And I go into the build folder. You can see that there's a lot of DLL files here. This one. You need all of these in your Unity project. So let's go to the Unity plugins folder. You can see that here is the editor DLL file. And in the latest version, I don't have it editor. It's just called Windows Azure Connector or something. But this is a bit of older version, but you still get the picture. This is the DLL file that the editor uses. It's in the root folder of the plugins, and it will automatically copy all of these DLL files when you export your solution. So when you hit export, all of these files which existing in this folder will be copied to exported solution. Is that okay? And then Unity has written two, and you can choose the name of this. It has to be Metro for Windows Store apps, and it has to be VP8 for Windows Phone apps. So if I export the Windows Store app, it will copy all of these DLL files in addition to this. And this folder also got a Windows Mobile .editor.dll. And okay, there's a collision. It existed from before, and it also is in the Metro folder. Okay, I'm going to choose the one in the Metro folder and just scrap the other one. So the functionality in this DLL is now overwritten. Is now written over this one. So the empty functions is scrapped, and you have the other one, which is basically the same function names and so on, so it would work. So what I have then is that, okay, I exported these functions. I have the DLL. I choose that I want to do Metro. Okay, it chooses to use this one. And this one is also new, all new, so it will overwrite everything that's here. And if it's not here, it's just copy them, okay? So that's how you write plugins for Unity, and that includes all the plugins that you are ever going to write. So I know there's some plugins out for Windows Azure. It's not done yet, and I haven't moved anywhere since the 17th of July, I think. But we did a lot of communication on it, and it works a little bit, but it's not 100%. But you can go there and see the code and how the plugin works, but it's basically what I did earlier. Just connect to Windows Azure and do the insert or do the read and store the data somehow. And once you have done this, the functionality is available in the Unity solution. So if I go now into this game and say I go into the newsfeed script. So the newsfeed script is just added to a text container, to a game object in the scene. So let's see if I can just find it here. I think I have it somewhere in, let's see, I think it's here. Yeah. So the newsfeed is simply, if I hit play, it's just this one, important changes, and then I add stuff, because sometimes I want the player to see a really cool message that I have, or I can actually have Christmas calendars here, and every time a player sees this message, that means every time it's loaded, someone does a read on your Windows Azure, maybe he will get an in-game update, like, oh cool, I got a candy stick for Christmas as a badge for your profile, or maybe a new hat for your character. You could do all this kind of stuff by just adding news feeds, or whatever you want in the front. But if people read the news, maybe you have sometimes things to give them. So basically, this is what I have. It contains of a background, it contains of a date text field, a message text field, and a title. So that's just the game objects. And it contains the script called newsfeed, which just references to the different text fields that I have. And if I go into the code of this one, where did it go? I think I'll load it. Yeah, here it is. So you guys are pretty familiar with the scripts by now. But what I do is to reference to something called URL label, and this is a part of NGUI, which is something that you have to buy, NGUI. But you could simply use a GUI text, or the things that you learn to do this. This is just exact same thing. And then I have an attribute called offline mode, and if I'm not offline, I'm going to download the news speed. And because of the DLL files that the editor has access to, got the definition for the download newsfeed function, as well as the exported one, this one will do nothing, because it's just empty. Or I did so it returns like ISDF, something random. It didn't look very good. But it's just a mock-up for me when I'm doing the editor stuff. I don't need to have news when I'm developing the game. But once I change the DLL, this means something completely different. So then it actually downloads the news feed. And once this one is not null, because this one will return null if there's no newsfeed downloaded yet. So you could maybe set a status field called downloading news. And once this is not null, I set it to the fields that exists in the newsfeed class. So it's very, very simple to actually incorporate, or put in logic that's supposed to be Windows Azure and be online and so on, and put it into your projects. And with a stable network connection, it would be probably go a little bit smoother and if I would just have been looking at the screen. So anyway, if we go back here, I also have a function that can unlock stuff for you. So if I go in here and I start a new game and say I play this level, and all you have to do is to this is a helicopter game. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but basically what you need to do is to get from A to B as fast as possible. And the only control is that anti-gravity. So if you hold in, it will go up, else it will go down. And you need to do it as fast as possible. And there's a lot of levels with a lot of different things. You need to find some keys to open doors and go into small, narrow caves and the moving objects and so on. So you have to time stuff. And you can collect these things to get a 0.5 second bonus time. So now I collect this. And when I get to the goal, let's see here. It's pretty soon. I can get the time, and I didn't do very well, but there's something called secrets here. So there's one secret in this level that I haven't found yet. So if I replay this level, I have to try to search for the secret. And I have to try to see if I can go outside of the normal path. There we have it. So there's the secret. And if I would have collected it, it would say, okay, this secret has been unlocked. And then it will call on Windows Azure the next time you go online and sync all the unlocks that you got with the Azure solution. And that's just, as we saw, I think it's here. And that's something I know because I have it written down, but it's just a string of zeros and ones. So, where a 0 at index 5, for example, if that's 0, okay, I haven't found a secret number 5 in my game, which is the green color. And then I can use these secrets that I find to go into my profile and change the color of how I look and everything, and choose the different parts here to create a completely new type of a comet. So you can customize how you look. Like this. That's all. That's everything that you get from unlocking stuff, but it's all connected with Windows Azure, and Azure actually stores all those things. So if I would take this laptop, I would get all the unlocks that I had on my computer and sync it down to my account and continue playing as I was on my own computer. So that's one of the really, really beautiful things with Azure. You can just connect there and save your game progress, save your profiles, save all the XP that you have, and even levels and level data. Maybe you're creating a prefab that is a level, and you have a level editor online, and you can save it all in Azure, and then create community levels. So you click community levels, and when people run that, you get a list of all the games that your friends have created or the world has created, and you can play new levels in your game. All right, let's see here. So basically what I have here for you is a pack of templates. So I'm going to move away from the Windows Azure part because I was just to mention it so that you know of it and you can start using it. And one thing that is really important to know is that all of these things that I've done, I've published a lot of games with Windows Azure on it, and I haven't paid anything yet because I haven't had that much success with my games. It's that simple. But I'm using something called shared space. So I'm sharing the server of my Azure mobile services with a lot of different other people, which means that there might be some disadvantages with performance, might not perform as well. But if I have 100 or 1,000 users, that wouldn't mean much to me. And if I would ever get 1,000 users, I'll be happy. And then I'll be happy to pay when the bill arrives. But you can freely create web services and start develop with them without thinking of the money, because they're basically free to host at the development stage and the early release stage if you're not going to go big. So feel free to play around with them. So what I'm going to do now is to just spend a couple of minutes to show you the different kinds of templates that I created. And all the templates, Jukka, will you email the templates or?
Yeah, we could see.
I have them online as well on my blog, so you can.
Pointed for the
Yeah.
content itself.
Yeah, because there you can download the templates together with some tutorials that I've been writing for Unity, and I have some shader tutorials as well, and so on. If you guys want to learn that.
And for the recording, we're going to include some landing page for the post that.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to replace that because I don't have
Yeah, I'm going to have it on the slide as well. So basically, this little demo contains something called Capital Battle, which is just using free assets from the Unity store. And you're in a spaceship and you shoot stuff. It's just you have to tap somewhere and it will get destroyed. Very simple, but it's a good starting point. War at Sea is just shooting some missiles at stuff that moves over your base, and you need to take them all down. Track to Hill Drive is a side-scrolling 2D car game where you have to drive a tractor over a hill. I'm going to show you that. Destruction Drive is a top-down driving game. We have to run around on the field and shoot other cars until they explode. And then you have SUV Race GT, which is a top-down race game where you just have to avoid other cars on the street. So it's quite simple, but they do work, and people are really enthusiastic when they're at hackathon. So this is a train-the-trainer event, and it's important to go away with some of the bits that really have worked in Norway as well, because we're getting a lot of games there of people who are just creating their first game using these templates and actually doing cool stuff with them. So they don't release it as it is over there, but they start there, and they create a really cool game out of it after spending maybe a week or two on it with different levels and everything. So just quickly, let me just show this to you. So I'm just going to fire up Unity again. Here. And I'm going to open the project. I think I actually had it on a list here. Yeah, so this one, for example, the side-scrolling tractor game. I'm going to show you how this is built. It's all built with free Unity assets, and I think I spent around an hour and a half to create this in front of an audience in Norway. All of these templates has been created partly by me or partly by someone else in hackathons and said that, yeah, I could share this. So if I go in here, I can see that I have a lot of different scenes. So I go to the main menu scene, and I'm just going to make this a free aspect so you guys can actually see something. And I want to maximize. So basically what this is that I get a start menu. So in here you can do whatever you want, and some logic that if you tap, you're going to move away to a level select screen. And the level select screen enables you to click on 3 different levels with different difficulties and different tracks. So say I go to maybe the hillside climb, for example. I'm presented in a Unity world in a tractor, and what I need to do is to add force to the tractor so it goes forward. And then you can use the arrow keys or the virtual joystick, which is provided by Unity free of charge as well, to create mobile interfaces for different this kind of games. And what you just need to do is to navigate the scene, and it's not very easy actually. Yeah, I'm surviving actually. Yes. So you need to, after a while, you're actually getting really high up on a mountaintop and so on. But I'm going to show you how this game actually is built up, just so you guys understand it. This is quite a popular template as well, because it's a popular type of game, and people tend to like it. So if I go into the level, the first level, and this is one way of creating levels here. I have created one scene for every level, which is not the typical way that I usually do it. When I create a level, I usually have one scene which is the level, and then the level content is a prefab. So you guys have been creating prefabs for 2 days now. But basically, the level is the player there, and it has the user interface, and then the prefab adds the objects and the landscapes and the trees and so on to the level. And when I complete a level, I just delete that prefab, and maybe next level I add the other one. Or load the scene again, but with a different ID of the prefab it should spawn on load. But you can also do this, add different scenes for each level. I've seen a lot of people do that, but it's not the best way to do it. But it enables you to create, this could be 3 completely different games if you want to create a game pack thing. So what we have here now is that I have the tractor, and it's actually built up by putting together cylinders and a square and a sphere here, which is scaled, like really small on the depth. So it's actually just like this. This is a pipe, and it contains a particle engine on top of it, just to simulate the smoke coming out. And then it contains spotlights in front to create the light effect on the ground. And the terrain here is also with Unity. You can just create other and select terrain, and you will add the terrain to the ground, and you can just, if I go a bit further away now, and I select the terrain, I could start just drawing islands on the terrain. And there you have it with collisions and everything. And you could go there, and I want to add some grass to this one. You can go add grass there. And if I zoom in now, I should see some grass like that. It's quite powerful. It's very powerful and can create cool landscapes in no time. So that's what it is. It's simply a game object created of spheres and boxes and cylinders, and then it contains a script. So if I go to the tractor, it contains a script which handles all the forces. So if you guys would like to go in here and maybe create a different kind of car game, you can just go in here and change the body here and remove the driver, but take care of the wheels and the wheel colliders to have the physics, but maybe you want to have a monster truck instead. So change these into the monster truck parts, and there's a lot of free models that you can use online on the asset store to create a completely different game using this thing. I've seen a lot of very, very creative games coming out of this. For example, I think it was, I got it somewhere. Okay, I don't see it there. But it's a Santa sledge life, so you drive in a dark winter landscape with a lantern hanging in front. There's really nice graphics and really cozy. And your job is to just get up the hills and to the goal as fast as possible in a Santa sledge slide. So it's quite funny. I think they even published it, if I remember correctly. And they created that on a hackathon for like 5 hours. Just really quick before we're ending here, if I just start another project, you can see that I have, let's do just the destruction drive, for example. This is also quite popular template. And I probably had hundreds of templates, and these templates are those that people usually like to use, even though they're very simple. So all this is that you drive around on the scene like this, and you can shoot. So you need to follow this arrow to find the nearest enemy. And the enemy's got an artificial intelligence that either follows you and tries to attack you, or it tries to escape from you. And then you have some score, and if you take down all the 3 enemies, this is just one scene, but the level is infinite. For each level, there's more enemies, and they're getting better and better aim. So you can actually, it's getting harder and harder, and your job is to just get as much score as possible, and then your highest score will be saved to the hard drive, so you can try to beat it the next time. And maybe some of you guys could create a game that actually connects to the cloud and storing the high score list online instead. So that's possible. So that's like 2 of them, and I think that I have one last one. You're getting like 5. I think it's probably this one. This is like a very simple game, but some people like to play them. And it's called Capital Battle. And you just, everything there is that you have a top-down view. You can't control the spaceship at all. Your job is to, it is a tapping game. So your job is to tap on the enemies that are actually attacking. And you can see that the cannons are shooting. And they are trying to shoot at me as well. And after a while, I start burning, and there's a lot of smoke coming out. But you can aim on the different bullets that comes in and the different enemies that are trying to get you. And it gets quite hard after a while, and there's a lot of different types of enemies. Some are fast, some are slow. Someone has a lot of lives, and it's like a huge space fleet. It's coming in there, and you have to tap on them many times, and they shoot a lot of bullets, so it's getting stressing, and then you have 5 of those coming around you. So a lot of people, I've seen people creating pirate games where they change this model into a pirate ship, and then the other pirate ships are moving in around you. And when it's tapped, then they actually start sinking and burning, and it actually looks quite funny. They created that at hackathons. I don't think they released it, but they learned a lot from not having to build everything from scratch, because a hackathon, most of the people, the hackathons I have in Norway, usually have only new guys, and then some hardcore that always wins. But new guys are there to just go home and call their mom and say, "Hi, I created a game." And that happens, trust me. So they're going to be really happy if they get some templates, something to start from, and just learn how that one works and modify it, and then they can start writing their own games after a while. So basically what we see that if we have 20 people at a hackathon, they get the templates, they work on it in teams and enjoy it. Maybe we get 1 or 2 apps out of it from their next game, which is actually good enough to have like 10,000 downloads or something. So it's quite fun. Actually, I've seen one of the games that was based on templates it has 25,000 downloads now, which is quite good after only a couple of weeks. So it's really simple game, but people just like it. It's not very good rated, but it's there. So yeah, I have 3 more minutes. And the other one is like the same thing. This one you have to just shoot rockets at the enemy airplanes that crosses you, and if you hit them, they will. So basically, the airplanes doesn't have a gravity on, so they're just having force flying over the field. And if the rocket hits them, it destroys the rocket, and it tells the rigid body to use gravity to true. And then it suddenly starts falling down, and it looks quite cool when the rocket hits it, and suddenly gravity works on it, and it just crashes down in the ocean. And this is also a simple game that people have been using, and I think it's quite fun. But you can, you're all getting this example, so you can take a look at it and use them at your own, because I think a lot of you guys are going to have your own events, so just use them, and you can contact me as well. I'm going to give you my Twitter and so on, so you can just contact me, and I'll help you out if you're stuck. But this is not meant for people to just take these and publish them. It's meant as a starting point so people can create something at a hackathon and compete and enjoy themselves and get like, oh, I'm creating something. I'm creating a cool game, and I want to do more of this, and it's working. That's a lot of you guys are doing. So I'm going to give you the blog. I have a blog for you guys, so you can just go there and read about it. So if I go to Digital Error, so this is my blog. A lot of you guys have probably been there. I've had it for many, many years, and it's quite big actually. And if you go into the tutorial section, there's a lot of shader tutorials here. So if you go in there, I've just written how you can implement like different types of shaders and the math needed and so on. And my most successful tutorial is actually the Commodore 64 assembly programming tutorial for Windows, which one day had, I think this tutorial alone had 6,000 or 7,000 unique users in one day. So that's quite a lot for this narrow little field. So if you want to learn that, you can go there. But in here, the first blog post here is called Unity Game Templates. You can just go here and download the package. It includes all the assets, and then it includes a link to a Unity tutorial that I created. It's really simple, and it starts with the basics. So this is creating your first simple game. Then it's about publishing to the Windows Store and the Windows Phone Store. Then it's creating high scores and saving data in files. And then it's connecting to the cloud. So everything that I did in my previous session is done here. And then there's part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of creating a full game in Unity. It's a 2D game, but it's based on the old Unity, which is looking like this. So you walk around in a mech world and you shoot lasers on different types of enemies, and there's different enemies shooting there. And you basically learn how to create this. In total, this is like 290 pages, so it's a small book, but feel free to use it. And these are really important. These are the most used links that I had at all my hackathons. Give them these links, because it's not as simple as just say file export Windows 8 to publish your game, because you need to do some stuff. And that is basically to be able to put the game on pause. So I have a script here, set pause game in a Windows 8 handler, and I'll just set the timescale to 0 or 1. This is a Unity script. And then I export the project, and then I need to implement SnapView, because to publish a game to Windows 8, I think that SnapView is a requirement. So if you go into SnapView, you don't want your game to continue, because it will get rejected from store. So basically all you need to do is to just copy this function here and paste it into your project. Or you could use the event handler, as I didn't know that, so I learned this from Andy previously, but you can use a method that you did with the driver@me to just call the pause game function and so on. So when you go into snap mode, the game should be paused. So this link got this one, and the tutorials and all the templates that you need. And it's on this URL if you guys want to have it. All right. I think that's it. Let's see here. Oh, I need one more thing. And I need Jukka to take a picture of this slide. Yes. I agreed with this guy yesterday. So I didn't. It was just for fun. Develop is a really, really cool portal for you guys. So just go in there and check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. It's about creating games and apps for Windows 8 or a Windows Phone. And you get XP and points there. And the points can actually be used to get hardware and cool prices from the store. So you guys should really go and just try this at home, because a lot of people likes this. And you can get achievements and badges and everything by doing stuff here, and take quizzes and so on. So it's basically a competition for app development. I think most of you guys are familiar with it, but you should really go there and check it out. So I encourage all you guys to just do what you did here. Go home, create a game, make some money so you can follow this and have a cool experience creating games. So thank you.